Okay, today on the show, we have Joanne Bolt from the Bolt Group Realty EXP in the Atlanta, Georgia area. Let me tell you a little bit about Joanne. In 2003, Joanne Bolt started a real estate career at the age of 24. Her very first team leader told her that to be successful, she needed to do three things: learn scripts, call expired listings and FISBOs for 3 hours every day, and walk neighborhoods. She laughed in his face, said no way, and started building her database from the people she knew, who they knew, and her local community. She closed 10 million in her first year, absolutely incredible, and never looked back. To this day, she's never made a cold call, never used a formal presentation in a listing appointment, or has never asked for a referral. She lives by the golden rule of do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Last year, her team closed over 50 million in the midst of a pandemic, and now she's 100% out of production and solely runs her business and her team. Please visit Joanne at her website, which is boltgrouprealty.com. And also please follow her on Instagram, which is at it's Joanne Bolt. Sorry. It's Joanne Bolt. So Instagram again, it's Joanne Bolt, where she does a lot of great content there specifically for other realtors. And by the way, if you're a realtor in the Atlanta area and are looking for a team, to join or to grow and also to get really great coaching, Joanne is the person to reach out to. So Joanne, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. It's going to be fun.
I am super excited to chat with you. And I mean, we said a lot here in the intro, but I was just thinking, as I was reading it, that and I've never myself been into production. I recruit realtors all day long, so I don't really know what it's like to be out there. And I'm 44 now, and I was thinking, even at 44, you were 24 when you started. I'm 44, and if I were to start production, I wouldn't. I mean, I would want to work by referral. And of course, that would be the best way to generate business. But boy, that's a scary proposition. And I can't even imagine how terrifying it would be at 24 when pretty much most of your friends aren't buying and selling homes, I'm guessing.
Oh, no.
So tell us first, I'd love to know why you got into real estate and how you got in, and then how you grew a business at that young of age. And having an amazing first year like that is really impressive.
Yeah. So it's kind of interesting, the story, I guess. I started out after college as a consultant for Accenture Consulting, and I flew all across the country. And I got married with the guy I'd been dating for several years, and he was a salesperson who was never home. And about a year, I wouldn't even say a year, maybe 8 months into the marriage, we looked at each other and realized all of our date nights were in the Delta Crown Room in the Atlanta airport.
Right.
As I was coming in and he was going out, and we had never even unpacked the dishes that we'd been given as wedding gifts because we were never at home at the same time.
You were doing that consultant Monday to Thursday or Monday to Friday thing?
I would typically fly out, or I would fly out Sunday through Thursday, and he would be coming in and going, and it was just, I mean, it was super fun when you're in your early 20s to be traveling all these places. But when we realized that, I don't know why we even bothered to buy a house. We were never there. We didn't unpack anything, crown room date nights. And I was on one of my projects in Michigan, and the partner, because they have, like sales associates and junior associates and then partner levels at Accenture. And I'm just like little bitty, barely even made the consultant level at Accenture. And my partner was just joking that she had a 4-year-old and he had a birthday coming up. And she said, "Oh, I guess we'll figure out a time to give him a birthday party." And she started looking at her calendar, and she's like, "In 3 months from now."
Wow.
And I mean, I was like 22, 23. I wasn't even thinking about kids. And I said, "Well, when's his actual birthday?" And she's like, "Oh, 2 weeks ago. We never celebrated on time. I'm never home." And I looked at her and I was like, "You mean you're never home?" And she goes, "Well, it doesn't really matter. I mean, it's not like he knows the difference." And I went home that night when I packed myself, all my stuff from the hotel to come home for the weekend. I went ahead and canceled all my other flights. I said, "I'm not going back." I don't know where my marriage is going to lead in terms of kids and family, but I know that if we have kids, that is not the goal for me. And I said, and I called my husband. And I said, and if I'm not going to aspire to be a partner at Accenture Consulting, then I'm wasting my time, working all these crazy hours. They called us road warriors because we were never home. And he was like, "Well, we we just got married and bought a house. Like, how are you going to quit your job? And I was like, I don't know, I'll figure it out. So in the airport, I started looking up like real estate schools because I thought, well, what else can you get into super, super fast while I figure out what I'm going to do for the rest of my life? And so for me, real estate was just something to do while I figured out what my big girl job was going to be.
Sure.
That was 20 years ago, and I'm still doing real estate.
That's
But that's how
amazing.
I got into real estate. My dad had bought and sold homes growing up. And so when I panicked and thought I got to have a job, I thought, okay, I'll try this real estate thing for a while and just ended up loving it.
I'm always so impressed with consultants who switch to real estate because I think that skill set of, maybe what you learned as a consultant really so easily translates, so well
It does.
translates
It
over.
does more than anyone imagines it's going to, because you have to learn to adapt quickly, talk in the language of the client that you're speaking to. And I don't mean language as in like Spanish or English, or Russian or whatever. I mean, like, if you lean forward a lot, I need to lean forward a lot. If you talk very slow, I need to talk very slow. It's meeting the person where they are in terms of how they're thinking. You've got to adapt to that as a consultant. And it's the same thing in real estate.
Yeah. So let's go back. So now you're 23, 24, you're starting in real estate, still trying to figure out what you want to do. The problem is, well, it's a problem for any new real estate agent, but especially for a younger person in the early 20s is leads. Like, how do you generate? And so, yes, the tried and true approach, back then and even still at a lot of places now is here's buy some FISBOs, expireds, pound the
Oh,
phones,
call.
get screamed at by everyone on the phone for a couple hours every day, and maybe you'll get a lead. And so how did you obviously working by referral is how you built your business, but how did you do that at such an early age? What were some of the things that worked for you?
I and here's, when you really realize, if you know anything about the Atlanta market or the Atlanta area, I grew up in Marietta. My husband and I, when we got married, moved to Swanee. So we're talking about a 20-mile difference, but about a 2-hour drive difference.
Wow.
So although, when I first joined, my broker said, oh my gosh, this is perfect. You're an Atlanta native, like nobody's an Atlanta native. You can call your sphere. And I thought, no, I really can't, because they would, they think I'm nuts to move out here to Swanee, Gwinnett County. I left Cobb County. And so my grouping of people I would have naturally called really didn't exist. It was like I had moved states.
Wow.
And I like to tell that because I get a lot of agents who say, well, I don't really know anyone. I don't have a sphere. Well, I didn't really either. But I knew I wasn't going to get on the phone every day and, call expireds, because that was just horrifying to me. I think I tried it for all of 2 weeks, maybe. And I made 2 dials the entire time. Like, I just sat there and looked at the phone and looked at the phone, and I pick it up, I put it back down, I pick it up, put it back down. I thought, no, this is not going to be who I am.
Sure.
So instead, I picked out the local areas that I could go kind of haunt, or, stalk, if you want to say it that way. I picked out a
Sure.
coffee shop. I picked out a local restaurant that I went at. We went every Friday night to a place around the corner, and we'd have drinks, and we got to know everyone. And I was very consistent in what I did. If I was going to go to XYZ coffee shop on Monday morning, I did it every Monday morning, because a lot of the locals are going to consistently come in, and I got to know the coffee shop owner. So we would talk a lot, and I wouldn't walk around with a Starbucks coffee cup in my hand as I went around town on the other days. I only walked around with my coffee cup from this little coffee shop. It's
Yeah.
unfortunately, it didn't make it through COVID, so it's not here
Oh.
anymore. But I kind of self-branded the places in my area for them. And because of that, they promoted me like crazy.
Oh, that's really, really smart. So
So
you
I guess I
basically
was a hyper local agent before that was a thing.
you were doing a couple of things. So it's funny, and I think there's such a huge opportunity here. You just said something very, very profound, and it's something that a lot of maybe real estate agents don't really think about. So you have all these small businesses, which, by the way, of course, sadly, to hear the fate of that coffee shop is very, very sad. And a lot of small businesses, especially in food service, are of course experiencing that right now. But in general, small businesses are always getting cold calls from advertisers who want them to spend money, whether it's television or digital advertising or billboards or whatever. It's like, hey, we want to promote you. Here's what it costs, newspapers, etc. Joanne's like, I'll just walk around town promoting your brand because I like your coffee. And so what you're really doing is you're providing value first. And I know that you probably didn't go in and say, I'm going to walk around and show your cup of coffee to everybody. I don't know, maybe you did say that, but the point is that you did that for free, and as just because you like that shop, and as a result of like the law of reciprocity, at some point that owner's like, hey, I've got somebody who's really going out and promoting my brand, and obviously wants to help you grow yours.
I mean, they loved me because I got to talk to them every Monday morning. But I was also, when I started realizing that that was a good idea, I got very, very targeted as well. And I knew this from my marketing days. I looked around, I look at everything like a bullseye. You've got the center of your bullseye, and
Sure.
those are the people that know you, love you, trust you, and are definitely going to use you. And
Right.
then you've got the next ring out, and those are the people that kind of know those, the bullseye people. And then you've got that third ring, and those are the
Right.
ones that you've never met, and they've never met your sphere, and those are the ones I'm always hunting, right?
Right.
And if I go by my bullseye theory, I looked at marketing the same way. If I want to sell in a specific neighborhood, what is the feeder neighborhood that most people move out of to move into this one neighborhood? And
Yes.
if you're moving out of this neighborhood, where are you more likely to go? And what I really figured out was, and a lot of agents will start out in like the high school. Well, I looked at, okay, no, go into the elementary schools. So if you've got a $250,000 subdivision in an elementary school, most likely those people aren't going to financially be able to afford the next bigger jump up, which is 600 or 550, until their
Right.
kids are probably in middle or high school.
Makes
So
sense.
I'm
Yeah.
going to go to the next price point in something that would feed out of that elementary school and go into that middle or high school. And I went and picked my coffee shops and my local bars and my eateries in those areas too. Because then I figured, now if I've got a for sale sign in subdivision A and they're moving out and they are looking at one of the subdivisions I've targeted for the for the school bullseye, they're going to see another for sale sign of mine in that neighborhood. And they're going to see me at the coffee shop on Monday. Well, guess what just happened? I didn't do anything. I didn't spend any extra money. I'm only in 2 subdivisions, but they think I'm everywhere.
Right. And
And
they
so
and
I'm
they
the only
they
agent
see
they're
you
calling
everywhere.
because I'm clearly everywhere. And that's how I started really layering in that concept of hyper local agent.
Gosh, that is such an incredibly smart. Did you just figure that out on your own, or how did you learn that?
So I figured it out because when we moved into the house we were in, we were having a hard time getting to know our neighbors. Because we moved into a starter subdivision. We were in our early 20s, and we're like,
Sure.
we don't understand. We're cool people. Like, why is no one knocking on our door to have happy hour? I'm like sitting on the front step with beer and wine going, come see me, I need
Yeah.
friends. And all of our neighbors already had their cliques. And so
Yeah.
when I finally asked one of my neighbors, I'm like, well, how did you guys get to be friends with the other neighbors? They were like, oh, it's always at the bus stop.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay. So which bus stop? The elementary. Well, I started watching the bus stops. So I was like, okay, in our subdivision, tons of kids got off in the elementary bus stop. Hardly anyone got off in the middle, and there was not one high schooler in my subdivision. So
Sure.
then I was like, okay. So I went back to my neighbor and I said, if you guys were going to move to, a home with a basement, the next price point, where would y'all go? And she was like, oh, and she named 3 different subdivisions. And I said, why? And she goes, my kids' school friends are all in those subdivisions.
Right.
It would stay in the school district, but it would still get us that bigger house. Okay. So I admit, I went through those subdivisions and watched the buses. Barely any elementaries got off. A lot of middle and high schoolers got off. And that's when it started dawning on me that you can still do the bullseye effect, but you do it based on price points of subdivisions in the school bullseye. You don't need to just market to the 250 homes. You need to do the 250, the 550, the 750, the rank, you need to do the stepping points of price points where they would fall in the high school progression.
Wow.
And I tried it. I thought I'll try anything for 9 months. I figure in 9 months, if nothing ever occurs, you're wasting your time, effort, and money. But if you're consistent with what you're doing, after 9 months, you should see some results. And it it really worked. And I've had clients that said, I called you because I thought you really are the only agent in the area. And I've
That's
probably
really,
like had
that's,
4 listings, but they were like, well, we think you're the only agent in the area because every time we go in and out of subdivisions, we only see your signs.
so you basically identified your target's world and then decided to live in that world. You were like, I am going to work and play in this world.
Big
And,
time.
oh, so
Oh, and
smart.
by the way, this was like 2003-ish, four.
Uh-huh.
Like there was no Instagrams.
Right.
Facebook wasn't a thing yet. Like if I could go back then and have Instagram and Facebook, I can't even imagine where the business would be.
Wow. And so now you've built up this team and a group, and now you're basically coaching and mentoring and running the business. And tell us about the shift from being a personal producer to now managing this large group.
Well, I realized a couple years ago that although I love buyers and sellers, and hear me right when I say that, don't hear me wrong. I do love the buyers and sellers. However, they're exhausting.
Yeah.
Like super exhausting. And suddenly I had kids and we were trying to manage, baseball schedules and tennis schedules and soccer schedules and going to the lake on the weekend, and me always being on call for clients in essence, because you have to show homes when they're not working. That's people's biggest misperception about agents is we're super flexible. No, we're not, because we have to be able to show when you can show.
Yeah, oddly, you're actually you probably have less flexibility and freedom than if you then as a consultant when you know when you're leaving, when you're coming home. You don't have that luxury as a real estate agent. That's a good point.
Right. And so, and I had 1 or 2 buyers agents on my team because I've learned to leverage out from almost day one in real estate. But one of the brokers came to me and said, will you teach a class? Will you, or help this other agent figure out how to get stuff done? And I clicked back into my consultant mindset so fast that I thought, I really don't need to be in production anymore because I can serve my clients better by training up really great agents. And then instead of me reaching 40 clients, we can reach 100.
Wow.
And that's
Yeah,
what we
that's
started doing. It was scary
yeah.
though. When you step out of production, like agents think you can kind of baby step out of production. And I learned it's all or nothing. Like you're either gonna run a team and be in production, and then a lot of your teammates start thinking you're only giving the good leads to, you're keeping them for yourself, or you're only
Right.
giving them to certain agents. So I was like, nope, I'm all or nothing. I'm either 1 foot in or 1 foot out, and
and
I
and
just
from
took the
and
job.
also from a recruiting, I'm a recruiter. That's what I do. And from a recruiting perspective, I'm also a non-practicing realtor, and that really goes a long way in the recruiting side because agents have been lied to so often by other firms by saying we have tons of leads, and then of course, as you were saying, then whether or not the leads are actually coming in, if they see the manager or the the managing broker or the person who's doing the training also going out and doing business, they're going to naturally think, are they keeping all the good leads? And so it is a huge advantage to work at a firm where the person who's managing everything is not in production, because then for sure they're not taking, if there are leads coming in, and we all know firms don't usually get a lot of leads anyway, but at least you're not having to worry about the brokers thinking, hey, they're not giving them to me, she's keeping them for herself.
Right. And 80 something percent of the teams that I consult with and help them grow their business, I mean, the majority of what they're closing is the rainmaker, and one other agent maybe picking up what he or she is too busy to handle.
Sure.
And so, when I shifted into the mode of, no, I'm not going to take any of it. They can have anything that naturally comes my way through my networking and my, my marketing and whatever I do, then it was actually freeing for me to really just step into that CEO mindset and
Yeah.
run a business. It became a business instead of just a job.
Well, let's do a little mini coaching session for our invisible audience that is not is not able to give feedback. So because I know you have, your everything is worked by referral for you, and I love that, because of course we all know that that's really the way to go. But let's talk about sphere of influence. So you mentioned a really important strategy of knowing sort of the progression of life events for your targeted audience, and you did it geographically. Like, here's where they live now, here's where they're going to move to, here's kind of the timeline. But back just to sphere of influence in general, do you have any tips for our listeners out there who are like, every so often I find out somebody in my sphere went with a different agent, and of course we know that happens to everybody at some point. But any suggestions about how to maximize the relationships with your sphere of influence so that happens less frequently, and obviously you being able to get more deals from that?
Yeah, actually, and what I teach and help agents is a mindset shift. And a lot of agents, the minute I start talking about this, they're like, oh, peace out. That will never work because it takes consistency and it's outside the regular box of being a real estate agent. But here's what I always tell people, or I would tell people now. You do not promote yourself, period. It's not about you. It's about them. You're promoting not your service, but who you are. Well, people don't give a rat's patootie how many homes you've sold. So stop posting just listed, just sold, and just closed.
I've been saying that, and now look, I'm no genius, because of course, but I'm a non-producer. I'm a marketing guy. I'm not even really in real estate, and I've been saying that since day one. Is nobody cares. The only people that care, it's good for your friends to see that you're being successful, I guess, and they'll have a little cheer for you and they'll like your post. But other than that, nobody else cares.
No, they don't. So when you flip your marketing switch around to the relationship, it will increase your sphere and referral business. I mean, quadruple it. You just got to be consistent. So, what we encourage our agents to do is, instead of having a just listed post, I want to see, let me tell you about the Brown family who is selling their home at 123 Main Street. Oh my gosh, they've lived here for 23 years. They brought their kids home here. Fido the dog learned to run in the backyard, but now their kids are gone to college and they're super sad to leave XYZ feature of the home behind, but they know the next family is going to love it. Follow us along to watch and see where they end up. Now that's a post that will catch someone's eye, because you're going to have a photo of the family, not the traditional just the front of the home, right?
Right.
What have you inadvertently told whoever is, looking at your marketing? That you've got the home on the market, a great feature about the house, and why someone would love it. You never mention price, how many bedrooms, or even the location it's in. But people want to know about people. It's why social media has taken off like it is, because then we can silently watch what other people are doing and find out about them as if we know them. So if you turn around and look at it from that perspective when you're working your sphere, you never bombard the people that know you with stats about your business or how many homes you've got on the market. You bombard them with the relationship aspect, and then they know that you're not looking at clients as just a paycheck, but as people, and they're far more likely to refer you, or better yet, pick the phone up when you call them. Because if you call them every other day and you only ask them if they know someone who's interested in buying or selling real estate, they will tune you out and stop answering the phone.
Yeah, they'll stop picking up that phone.
delete, voicemail,
Right.
voicemail, and then you've lost the relationship. And so your referral status goes the minute you do that.
And the other thing that you're doing by a post like that, by, hey, I want to tell you about, the Brown family, and then you start, telling their story, is it also demonstrates a level of intimacy that you're willing to create with your clients, and then also share. It demonstrates empathy, compassion, all of the things that we want in our trusted professionals. And so it really does a number of things, in addition to also saying, oh, by the way, I'm subtly saying, oh, by the way, I listed and sold their home.
Right.
But you're really saying, I know these people, and how, and that's really, really important.
Well, and they're more likely to spread the word about their home being on the market because they like the piece you wrote about them.
Yes.
So they want to send it out to all their friends. And now what have you done? You just hit that outside target on the bullseye. You just hit all the people that they know and the ones that that they didn't even know they know because the story gets shared somewhere else.
Well, I mean, it's no secret that this podcast was built with pretty much that same philosophy, which is if I can help someone, be able to tell their story about how they grew their business, how they became a top producer,
Yep.
and maybe even help them either recruit agents if they're running a company, or if they just want more business, maybe, we could talk about what they offer buyers, sellers, investors, et cetera. Then, and we do a fun interview that costs them nothing, of course, then maybe they would want to share that, and that would, of course, get us more listeners. And that's been our whole philosophy as well. So it's kind of almost like a give first philosophy.
It
Give
is. And it's
first.
the
Yeah.
same concept. You give first and it will come. The reason agents don't, jump straight in and give it their all on that is it may not get you your first closing in 30 days.
Right.
It may take 4 to 5 months to get that consistency. But when you run it that way, it will get consistent. So, the agents who only do, and, hey, if you're out there and you are a rock star on the phone with expired listings, don't rock the boat. Keep doing what you're doing.
Sure.
Hats off to you. But those are the agents I find when I'm working with people is they have off seasons. They'll have November and December with nothing in the pipeline because nobody's answering the phone at that time, or there's no listings that have expired to then call. And the ones that are all in on working everything they can in their local community and sphere, working in referral, you're going to close consistently every single month, no matter what. I've never had a December where we weren't closing 2 or 3. Because,
Yeah.
we're working the methods. We don't slow down.
Yeah, it's all about deepening relationships, and I think that's the key to the skill set is really. I mean, of course, you really should know the market, of course, and know the ins and outs of real estate, and you should study that every single day, and that should be part of your daily tasks, of course. But that should also be deepening relationships should be a part of every single day. And even if you didn't really work on the skill set of the business, of working on knowing the business, and all you did was deepen relationships, and you were actually a terrible agent, you would still be pretty successful, even if you really didn't have the skill set of knowing the market, because you would be so trusted by people just based on the fact that that you care about their lives. Now, of course, you should do everything, but people, that's the part that is kind of the most fun part, I think, for a lot of people. But it's also something that it's easy to forget to do. It's easy to forget to think, like, did I deepen some relationships today? How did I give back, or what did I do to make somebody's in my sphere's day a little brighter?
Yeah. And how can I meet their needs before they even know that need has occurred?
Yeah.
How can I differentiate myself from the 84,000 other agents in the area? Well, one is not bombarding people with just listed, just sold posts, but it's remembering too, as an agent, that you do this every single month. Well, they don't. So you would think that you would, that you'd understand what they're going through, but we forget what they're going through.
Right.
So finding the time to take those moments and meeting their needs ahead of time will also mean that they will refer you out the next time. And here's my best tip for meeting the need ahead of time. If your clients have like 2 and 3 and 4-year-olds and they're moving, your parents will forget that it's scary for those little people.
Sure.
Because those little people, they think, oh, they're little people. They'll adapt, they'll adjust, they'll be fine. They won't even remember the old bedroom 5 minutes after we move into the new one. And that's kind of accurate. But they have very different concerns. Like, hey, mom, you just packed up my teddy bear. Where is he going? And will he be there when I get there? They don't understand the concept of moving. So we started giving all of our clients, whether they were buyers or sellers, the Bernstein Bears book, We Are Moving.
Yeah.
It's like a $4 purchase on Amazon, and we just order them in bulk. And I tell all my agents and everyone I work with, if your clients have little people, hand your clients these books and say, listen, you may not think you need to read this, but I promise you, you do.
Yeah.
And
wow.
All that does is ease the fear of the little people in their lives. Well, we've met that need before that parent even realized it was going to be a problem. And
Yeah.
that's how
Wow.
we get also referred, is because we take those extra steps.
Yeah, the idea of anticipating a need like that and then meeting it in advance of the person, even knowing that this is a thing, is so important. I mean, I'm in the process of closing on a property. It is not my first closing. And I am still terrified. Not terrified, but I am definitely have anxiety, and terrified's too strong. But I'm definitely scared. I have anxiety around it. It is not it's just it's a thing. And for those of us who are listening who are practicing realtors, we don't get scared. Realtors don't get scared. I, as a consumer, am really scared. And even though it's all going to work out, and I know, it's like I realized how much of this business is about anxiety. And if the realtor can really think about, how do I anticipate what the anxiety of the buyer or the seller or the renter is going to be in advance, and then solves that problem before it even really comes up, is boy, you are so important to that client.
Yeah, and and I know a lot of agents who'll ask you 5 or 6 times during the process. Now, when we're finished, I'm going to ask you for a referral. Can you be thinking can you be thinking about who you could refer to me? And I never do that because I wouldn't want them doing that to me. Instead, we take those opportunities to do the Bernstein Bears books, or go ahead and call 3 moving companies and help them get quotes ahead of time, so that they're not shocked that it's a $10,000 move when they move.
Right.
They haven't budgeted in that expensive of a moving van. So we start doing all those things during the process, so that the whole experience is so easy that they will naturally, when their friend says, "Oh my gosh, who did you use to buy or sell your home?" They'll go, "Oh, the Bolt Group. Do you know what they did? They gave my kid a Bernstein Bears book."
Yeah, we all just want things, the professionals that we hire, whether it's an accountant or a real estate agent or an attorney or a doctor or the person who cuts our hair or whatever, dentist. We all just want things to be easy. We all just want to go, hey,
Yeah.
I'm hiring you. Just make this as easy as possible
How
for
many
me.
easy buttons can we provide for you?
Yes. Okay, I want to talk about agent to. So by the way, I should mention, because we haven't really formally said this, but Joanne has basically 3 methods of referral. She has sphere of influence, which we talked about, but the second one, which we haven't yet talked about, is agent to agent network. So I'm curious to know what that is and how you instruct agents to sort of take advantage of that.
Oh yeah, so that's a good one. So I look at everything and say there's always an upstream and a downstream. And your upstream and your downstream are, where are my clients going when they move and where are they coming from? And if you're not sure, you can go to wheremoneymoves.com and you can literally look at where income moves across the United States. So for us, a lot of people from New York and Chicago and San Francisco area move into the Atlanta area. Well, if I know that because I've done my research, then we make it a priority every single week. We start finding agents in those areas, and we make part of our lead generation phone calls. The only people we cold call are other agents. And so we develop relationships with agents who are more likely to send their clients to the Atlanta area. Because I think, if you just do a referral network group on Facebook and someone says, "Who's my Atlanta agent?" you're going to get 1,000 different answers. Well, I don't
Sure.
want them going to a page like that. I
Right.
want to talk to an agent so many times on the phone that they naturally think my name when they think Atlanta. So we will call agents in the areas more likely to move into the Atlanta area. And we also call and develop relationships with the agents in the areas we tend to notice our clients moving to. Like, a lot of our agents buy secondary homes on 30A in Florida. So I've gotten to know a lot of agents down there, especially those agents, because if I'm sending you a referral, I want to know you're going to do a good job, because that still means a lot. So we work that agent to agent network on both ends, because those agents know other agents in their areas. And so that agent might say, "Hey, who do you know in Atlanta?" And they'll say the Bolt Group. And so we make it just part of our routine that you're going to call 5 or 6 agents every single week up and downstream and get to know them, not just like their posts on Facebook or Instagram, but like pick the phone up and actually call them and say, "What's the weather like in Chicago and how is it affecting your business?" And that's all it takes.
Yeah, it's really, really smart. And I know, like, my parents, they sold they had a home in Myrtle Beach,
Mhm.
and for years and years they were trying to sell it, and they couldn't find. Eventually, they found a good realtor after I think it was the fourth realtor that was actually able to sell the condo. But you know, it was one of those things where I went, "Gosh, mom and dad, I really don't know anybody there." And again, I'm not a practicing realtor, but I said, "I really don't know." But you know, they didn't know anyone either, and you know, eventually we found somebody. But it's really really important to know, you know, where the people in your sphere are moving to, where are they moving from when they get to you, and then developing those relationships. So your recommendation is to start, and how do you select agents in those areas? Are you looking on like Zillow for people that have the best reviews? Are you asking
No.
around? How are you
I'll be
finding
honest,
them?
I don't look at reviews at all because, and my husband pointed this one out to me. He said, Joanne, don't ever look at reviews for restaurants online. The only people who ever really put a review are people who are ticked off and want to put a bad one.
Correct.
He said, so if an agent has all 5-star reviews on Zillow, you can't tell me nothing's ever gone wrong and no client has ever
Right.
been ticked off at you. Like
Right.
it doesn't exist. And so we start looking at the first place I'm going to go is within our brokerage, EXP, and I'm going to look up who are some of the top producers in the area. And then I'm
Sure.
going to their social media. I am. I'm going to their Instagram. I'm going to their Facebook page. I'm going to hit their LinkedIn page. I'm going to see what kind of stuff do they post, both personal and business, because if all they're posting is really inappropriate, maybe political stuff, that
Right.
might not be who I want to reach out to because I'm going to
Right.
form a relationship with you, right? And if I
Good
hate
point.
what you're spewing, it doesn't work for a relationship. And if all you're posting is stuff about just listed and just sold, well, you're boring. So we start hunting, you know, agents we want to spend 5 minutes or so a day on the phone with, because we're going to be sending our clients that we've gotten to know, and we're figuring those clients probably are looking for a personality similar to ours as in their next agent. So we're hunting those personalities that mirror ours a little bit.
Yeah, that's really really smart. So what a great tip. And then the I know you had another referral idea, which is reputation referral, but I think we've sort of
Yeah,
used
that's
that.
kind of that hyper local agent concept, you know.
And right now, there's such an opportunity, I think, going back to that hyperlocal idea, of reaching out to these small businesses that are struggling, especially if you're just not that busy as an agent right now. If all of a sudden, right now, you don't have a lot of buyers and sellers, which, boy, there's never been a better time to be a buyer or a seller, it seems like,
Yeah.
because rates are low for buyers and there's not a ton of inventory. So great for sellers. But and of course it varies, of course, market to market, but a lot of opportunity out there. But there's still a lot of people who, you know, are stuck at home, and they're not as mobile, and of course, you know, people are there's a lot of fear, and that makes sense. And but where there's a tremendous amount of fear and you can actually provide a lot of value is still supporting those local businesses and saying, what can I do to help you guys stay in business? And obviously you might not say it that way, but what can I do to help you guys thrive right now? Is there something I can do? I mean, we all have favorite local, you know, establishments.
Absolutely. So
And what
here,
a Go ahead.
sorry, go ahead.
No, please.
So here's my tip for that one is understanding your audience first, where you're going to promote that local business, and then how to do it. I really like the idea of giveaways. Everyone loves a giveaway, right?
Sure.
Something free. So I might call my local coffee shop and say, hey, can you afford to do a $10 gift card? And if you can't, I'll buy it and I'll give it away. But if you want to give it away, then you know that's okay too. I'm going to come next Friday and I'm going to bring my, you know, my iPhone camera and my microphone, and we're going to do a 2-minute video where you get to talk about your coffee shop and what business is looking like and what the best flavor of the month is, or you know, whatever you want to do to promote your own business. Now, I'm going to do that in person on Facebook, because then I'm going to do it from my page and ask them, because they probably have a business profile on Facebook. I'm going to ask them to share it onto their page. So now my eyeballs for this giveaway contest are on their followers and mine, but you have to come back to my page to enter the contest, right? So now I've directed you right back to my page from theirs. But on Instagram, that doesn't work as well.
Sure.
On Instagram, the owner of the coffee shop, they can share your post, but they can't really reshare it to get it circled back to you.
Right.
So Instagram now has created guides. So we might create a guide that says local places to eat and drink in Cumming, Georgia, and we will create a post about that coffee shop, save it, and add it to our guide so that now we have promoted that local shop on our guide on Instagram and on Facebook. We do the giveaway on Facebook, but we just promote the coffee shop on Instagram. And we tell people the thing you have to understand about social media is the algorithms like people to interact with what you're posting.
Right.
So you need to create something that's savable or shareable. The Facebook giveaway is shareable. The Instagram page, if you tell them at the bottom of your little post about the coffee shop, bookmark this for later when you're craving a cup of Joe, you tell them to bookmark it. The more people bookmark that page or that post, Instagram thinks, oh, this is super important, and starts pumping it up on the Explore feed.
Yeah, engagement is everything in social media.
And that's how you become hyper local in your area. Is people start following you because they want to know where to go have a drink on Friday night, and they start associating you with real estate because by nature your stuff is going to have some real estate stuff related to it.
Do you know, last night was the Super Bowl, and for all of one, if you're listening or watching this after we recorded this yesterday, at the date of recording, yesterday was the Super Bowl, and it's really funny. So Joanne just mentioned something that I really had never seen another brand do. I'm sure it's been done a million times, but I hadn't seen it during the Super Bowl, and I don't know for all the ones who are listening, watch the ad from Mountain Dew, which was basically said there was a 30-second ad. It was about some new flavor they had, and it was count the number of bottles in this ad and then tweet us the number that you think it is, and it was like $1 million prize. Now obviously that's an extreme prize. My girlfriend and I immediately jumped on our phones. We never really go on Twitter. We both jumped on, and we even tried to count to figure out, and we got it wrong, but we tried. And I went, I wonder how many tweets they just got. And then you had to share, of course, their information in the tweet itself. And I thought that was one of the smartest things I've ever seen.
They just took that concept of shareability from Instagram and they just put it on a commercial with Twitter, and boom.
Brilliant.
It's absolutely fantastic. You know.
So just to recap that this particular idea is talk to a local business, say, hey, I want to, I love your business. I want to share it on social media. Is there any sort of giveaway that you could do for my audience? If not, maybe I can purchase something, gift card or whatever.
Yeah, 'cause if they're struggling, I'm not going to make them, pay for it.
Sure.
If they don't mind giving it, then that's not in my pocket, and that's, a win-win for everybody.
Sure. And then we're going to create a contest, and we're going to have fun with it on social media. And I'm going to come interview you and talk about it. And we're going to post it and share it. You're going to share it with your audience. I'm going to share it with mine, and everybody wins. So
now, and see, here's the other thing. Again, it all comes back to consistency. Be consistent. Don't do it one time and think you're going to explode your following on Facebook for your business. No, do it every Friday in the year 2021. And guess what? If you let your followers know, hey, next Friday, we're going to do this again and again and again, then they will keep coming back to your Facebook page. Well, the more they come back to your Facebook page, tag someone in the comment, do whatever you're asking them to do, the more Facebook puts your stuff at the top of their feed. So then when you do have that post to your page about the Brown family at 123 Maple Street, it is showing up on those people's feeds, whether they went to it or not. Why? Because every Friday they go to find out what you're giving away. So Facebook thinks they love you and puts you at top of their feed.
Very, very smart. I love it.
And I keep it on my Instagram page. I do it every Sunday, but I give away something that, I don't, because on my Instagram page, I'm not going for, the hyper local agent. I'm reaching real estate agents. And so I just do, I might do the book I'm reading or the day planner I'm, currently using, something that any agent anywhere might benefit from. And, so I took the same concept I did to build my following on Facebook for my business, and now I'm using it in Instagram to build the realtor following. It's the same thing. Every Sunday I give something away. Every Sunday.
I love it. Well, what a great place to wrap up. And we should say for everyone listening or watching, if you are an agent, well, really agent anywhere in the country, but also if you're in the Atlanta area and surrounding areas, and if you're looking to switch firms. I mean, this is the time of year where people start evaluating or reevaluating. Am I at the right firm? Am I getting what I need? Am I getting the right level of coaching and support? And if you're looking for some new opportunities and coaching, right? Am I getting the coaching I need? Joanne Bolt and her group would love to reach you. So if there are any agents out there who are thinking about, joining a different team or joining a team for the first time and really, becoming a better producer, what's the best way they should reach out?
We don't even have to be on the team. Just you want to partner with us, let's partner. That's now we're shifting a lot of our down and upstream referrals into people who are partnering with the Bolt group across the country. Because I know how they're getting taught and trained because I'm doing it. So,
right. Well, what's the best way? Any of our listeners who are interested in learning more about, becoming a partner with you, what they should do to reach out?
The best way is either to DM me through Instagram at it's Joanne Bolt, or just to send me a text message to my phone number, and I'll answer it.
And could you provide your phone number?
Sure thing. It's 678-662-1102.
We should also remind everyone to visit Joanne at boltgrouprealty.com, BOLT, grouprealty.com, and visit her again on Instagram, which is and Joanne is Joanne, Bolt. So it's Joanne Bolt. Joanne, thank you so much for being on our show. You gave incredible content, great tips and advice, and we loved having you on. And for everyone who is listening, before we sign off, please, if you want to help us grow our podcast, we ask that you do just two quick things. Number one, tell a friend. Think of one other agent out there that could benefit, who maybe is struggling or maybe isn't even struggling, but wants to get to that next level and isn't totally sure what to do, and send them a link to this episode that we just are doing with Joanne. The easiest way to do that, go to our website, keepingitrealpod.com. So again, keepingitrealpod.com. They don't even have to download a podcast app. They can stream every episode we've ever done, including this one, right on our website. And also the second thing, follow us on Facebook. Every single day, we find an article written online specifically designed to help agents get to the next level. We post a link to it. We post a funny meme every day, and we also post all of our interviews there. So you can find us at Facebook at facebook.com/Keeping It Real Pod. Joanne, thank you so much for being on the show.
Can I ask one really quick question?
Please.
Because I know real estate agents always want a review from their client to a specific location. If we're going to review your podcast, what's your favorite spot for us to review?
Oh, wherever you want. We'll take it from anywhere.
All right, I'm on Stitcher. I'll see you there.
See, this is why you give to people, because then they want to do nice things like write reviews for you. I didn't ask Joanne to write a review, and I'm super grateful that it even occurred to her to do that. And now she's going to do it. So give first. That's the message here. And also be really strategic. As Joanne said, aim for the bullseye. Know what the first you have to define the bullseye. So go back and re-listen to the beginning.
Darts first before you define your bullseye, but yes.
But don't throw those darts in the dark, right? Turn on the light, know where you're aiming, and do your research. That's what a consultant does. That's what Joanne did before she was in real estate. She went to companies and said, tell me about where you're struggling. What are the pain points here? And then she would go back and figure out a solution and then go present it. That's what consultancy is all about, and that's why you've become obviously so successful. So Joanne, thanks so much for being on the show.
Thanks for having me. I had a great time.
All right, well, we will see everyone on the next episode. All right, thanks, Joanne.
All right, bye.